So today I'm going to show you how I made my rotational secret code puzzle in Owlbear. You're going to start with whatever art program you feel most comfortable with. Um, I'm using an old version of Photoshop, but most modern programs tend to have similar features, so you should be able to follow along easily enough. Um, what you're going to want to do is you start with a blank canvas. We're not going to really use this. We're going to unlock that, and we're going to start with whatever word or image. If you have something that is simple enough, it shouldn't be too difficult. You do want to avoid sort of overcrowding, especially near the center of the circle, as that's going to make it harder to scramble without overlapping certain designs. So we're just going to go with something simple. We're just going to start with owl. I'm going to center that about there, maybe a little bit higher. And then on another layer, we are going to take the select tool. We're going to make a circle. To make a nice perfect circle, if you hold down shift as you click, it should keep a nice round image. You can then fill that in. I like to go with just something gray. Um, let's move the owl on top of that. Okay, and if you want to stay within this selection when you're drawing on it, because this will be your sort of um, final puzzle uh, piece here, if I can spell. Um, you can lock this using this feature right here. And now if you say want to draw, nothing will go beyond that. So you can just stay within the bounds, and that will make it easier once you've brought it into Owlbear to make sure that it is rotating perfectly, because it's just a circle. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take our text. You can draw this out too. You can use text. You're going to want to right click on here, and you're going to go to rasterize type. That's going to turn it from a text that could be edited into just a normal layer like anything else. Um, so what you can also do, you're going to need sort of an anchor point. Um, so on this background image, we're just going to do a quick little mark. This is what we're going to line up all of our markers with. That's not going to be in the final product. That's just for reference as you're making your puzzle. So from there, let's get into it. Um, so what you can do is take the lasso tool, and you can start making selections. You're going to want to be on the text layer, and you're going to want to make a selection. You want to try and divide up these letters, because if you're just jumbling them by the letters, your players are going to be able to look at this and say, that says owl. It's just a word jumble. So you want to cut it up, make it a little bit less obvious. Right click and go layer via cut. This will put it onto a new layer. And then from there, you're just going to want to make a small line just like up here that matches up with this one. A small pro tip, if you want, if you can press shift, and when you press shift, it will only go up and down in these sort of straight lines like that. Um, and this will help with that. You can also, if you want to say, make it a little bit more pretty, you can put like a little marker, let's make a little black one. Now this, you can also put on its own separate layer if you want to use this same image for each of your markers and keep it consistent. So you will then, if you want to keep it like that, you want to duplicate this so that you can keep one. you're going to want to keep it in that same place because it keeps everything exactly even. We're going to take layer 2, that's this one, and one of these little markers, and we're going to just merge them together. So you can actually either right click, go merge down. Okay, and then, so now we're going to turn that one off. These are both on the same thing. You're just going to want to label them. You can use a number system. You can actually, if you really wanted to, you could change the hue of these. If you lock this and just choose a color and then alt backspace, you can just color code it and put those all on their own separate things, as long as your players aren't colorblind. Or you can go in and you can label them. So put like a little one beside this and a one beside that. You want to make sure it's nice and close so that that people don't get confused. You can use uh, symbols. If you get a nice wingding font, you can easily find a number of really cool symbols that you can just pop right in there. From there, you're going to take this layer, bring it down just above this one here. We're going to merge that down onto this final puzzle piece. So from there, we're going to Control T to bring up the transformation tool. You're going to want to make sure don't move this anchor. If you start moving it around, it's going to rotate weird. It's going to be wonky. So you want to keep that nice and center. Oh, there it goes. And from here, you just rotate it and repeat the process. Once again, create a new selection. Let's do this. And we're going to bring up the layer via cut. We're going to copy that marker layer. I'm sorry, I should have labeled these, but I didn't. And we'll turn off one. And then we're just going to merge these together. Merge layers. We can color code those as well. Lock that. Let's choose blue. Now they're blue. And then we'll go in, label it with number 2, and merge it down onto the final puzzle piece. And again, Control T to transform and rotate it. Now, as long as the final pieces, like the red one here and this blue one here, aren't overlapping, you should be fine. Actually, because these ones are color coded, they could overlap and it wouldn't be that confusing. If you're using one solid color though, overlapping is going to get confusing as to what piece consists of this symbol for 1 and the symbol for 2. So just keep that in mind as you're doing this. The things that are closer to the center are going to be harder to scatter without overlapping. Things that are near the edges will be a lot easier. And for your text also, make sure it doesn't go all the way to the edge because you're going to need points along the edge for these little anchor markers. And just repeat the process until the entire word is jumbled. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so once you have everything finished and merged all onto this one final circle layer, this is pretty much your finished puzzle. From here, we're just going to delete, well, first things first, actually, when you go to save this, you're going to want to save it on a position where there are no anchors on the top, and ideally on the sides as well, on the very sides. This is so that when you bring it into Owlbear, um, your little rotational icon or the resize icons on the side of your token won't cover up any of your anchor points. So make sure it's just blank on the top, ideally on the sides, but not as important. At this point, we're going to actually delete this background image. This will give you a nice transparent image in the background. Uh, take Get rid of that, whatever that is, and from here we're going to crop it, and we're going to crop it right to the edges. Most programs should snap to the edges, so you don't have to worry about going over it. From here, we're going to save it. Save it as a PNG file. This will make sure that this transparent background stays intact. Then from there, we will import it into Owlbear. All right, so once you're in Owlbear, you're just going to want to import this image that you've created. From here, you're going to want to make sure that this is considered a map. Now, the reason for this is that a map can be drawn on with the pen tool, whilst other such tokens, say if we put this on a, let's say, prop layer, when we go to draw on it, it's not going to show up. It's going to show up behind it. So you need to have this set as a map token. From here, you're also going to want to go into your player permissions and make sure that they have the permission to update the map. This will make sure that your players are able to actually rotate it on their own. This also means that they will be able to resize it on accident. Remind them Control Z is their best friend. So this is without a background currently. You can import another image as a background. If you do this, you may want to prioritize making the other one a background first. So this is a map, and it will, whatever one you say, if I unlock this and I move it over this, this is the one that's going to take priority and be on top. So what you want to do is lock that one first, unlock this one, and then you can move it on top of this one, and you can resize it to fit within this circle guide, like so. You can also, if you don't want to use a background, if that's, it doesn't really matter, go ahead and lock this again. You can also just use the draw tool, and you can just make a circle. You can make a circle and just fill it in the circle. And this can serve as a same thing where you just put it on to a map. This will act in the same way. You can put it behind it, and you can also just draw a small you can also just draw a small triangle to serve as a sort of pointer as to where they need to line up the puzzle to. Now, what your players are going to want to do from this point, if you haven't seen this already, you're going to want to take the draw tool. You're going to want to stroke style, choose whatever color you want. You're going to probably want something that contrasts to what you have on here. If you've used color to differentiate, it might be a little bit more difficult. You might want to just go with something like a black, and make sure that you have a significant thickness, not too thick, not too thin. A lot of your players are probably going to want to start with number one. If they do this, it actually works out really well, because it's going to encourage them to really rotate and go back and forth. It's going to look like a vault being cracked. But they can also just go in a circle one by one. Doesn't really matter, so long as every single one gets drawn. So you're going to line that up. So from here, you're just going to want to choose the marker tool, or have your players, I should say, choose the marker tool. And they're just going to trace over each and every one of these in order. For whatever reason, Owlbear hates my stylus, so we're not going to use that. So, and then we're going to go and we're lining up number 2. And we draw number 2. We trace out number 2. And you just go through one by one, rotating it to each position and drawing the corresponding lines. Once your players have finished tracing in all of the designs, they should be left with whatever secret word, message, um, image, rune, what have you, that you have built into your custom puzzle. So, and that's it. So, thank you for watching.